All right. This morning is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk on a subject this morning that I believe we've all been faced with here within the last few months. It's a subject that has become very controversial, confrontational. I've seen arguments on Facebook, social media. You can't tell me what to do. I've seen a decision like this become very divisive. And I believe that you and I have seen and experienced enough division in the last year. And so I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk about this morning. And I want to start with a scripture here this morning, and it's in Galatians, and it's chapter 5, and it's verse 13. And it says this, it says, "You, my brothers and sisters," everybody say, "That's me." That's right. "You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free." Say, "I'm free." I'm free. I don't quite feel that. I need to feel it this morning. I need you to say, "I'm free." All right, that's better. That's better. We getting there. "You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love." God has given you and I an amazing gift. He has given you and I an amazing gift, and that's the gift of free will. You and I have a gift to be able to choose what we believe is in our best interest. You and I have been given this gift. But most people think, in today's society, most people think that free will means that I can do what I want, when I want, and how I want to do it. See, that's what most of us believe about free will. It's I'm going to do what I want, when I want, and how I want to do it. But I got news for you today. That's an issue. See, because what that mindset says is, that mindset says, I don't care about you. I'm not concerned about you. The only person I'm concerned about is me, and I will step on you if I have to get to where I'm trying to go. Y'all were quiet this morning. Free will does not mean that you get to do what you want to do, when you want to do, how you want to do it. See, God just said, don't use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Don't use your freedom to make it all about you. He said, rather, use the freedom I've given you, use the free will that I've given you to serve one another humbly in love. Woo. Use that freedom to serve one another humbly in love. Put someone else before you. Take other people into consideration when you're making decisions. See, God has given you a free will, but with that free will comes a huge responsibility. It comes with a huge and a significant responsibility. Free will doesn't relieve you of responsibility. It doesn't relieve you from being considerate of others. It doesn't relieve you from the consequences of your choices and decisions. Free will holds you to those things. It doesn't relieve you of those. Just think of the chaos that would be in this world if everybody got to do what they wanted, when they wanted, and how they wanted to do it. Think of how chaotic this place would be. See, free will comes with responsibility. You have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to serve one another in love, humbly. Now, why are you talking about all this today, Pastor? Listen to me. I believe each and every one of us, due to COVID-19, have been faced with a decision. And that decision is this: to be vaccinated or not to be vaccinated. To be vaccinated or not to be vaccinated. That's a, now before anybody gets an attitude, I can already see, soon as I said that, I saw y'all tighten up, squinch, you know, y'all thought I was asking for money or something. Before anybody gets an attitude, I'm not here today to tell you what you should or you shouldn't be doing. I'm not here to tell you what you need to do. See, that's the free will God has given you to decide what's in the best interest for your household. But he also gives you a responsibility that goes along with that. He gives you a responsibility that says, yes, you have a free will, but you have to take others into consideration too. Whether that be, you have to take others into consideration in whether you get the vaccine, or you have to take others into consideration why they don't want to get the vaccine. But either way, you've got to take other people into consideration. You have that responsibility with free will. I believe the local church has always been an avenue in the community to help the community know what's truth and what's not. The local church has always been a place to where you could come and get information that could help you make a sound decision in life. See, because the reality is we get information from everywhere. We are in information overload, and sometimes we don't necessarily know what to believe and what not to believe. See, because according to society today, truth is relative. Truth is relative to the situation I find myself in at that moment. See, but God says truth is truth. Regardless of the situation you find yourself in, it's truth. Regardless of the situation you find yourself in, the free will you have comes with a huge responsibility. It's not something for you to take lightly. So today, I know there are some unanswered questions. I know there are some unanswered questions about the vaccine. And that's what I want to do today. I simply want to come and answer those questions, debunk those myths that we find that are being shared and that are being told to all of us, so that if you have or you haven't taken the vaccine, you have the information that you need to be able to make a sound decision for your family. Now, some of you in here may be saying, Pastor, why are you bringing this in here? This is a social issue. Don't be trying to mix the church with social issues. Don't be trying to mix the church with social issues. That's not how the church is supposed to work. The church is supposed to keep its nose out of social business. But let me tell you something. If you read the Bible I read, Jesus was very involved in social issues. Jesus was very involved. He didn't hold any punches. Jesus did not have a problem holding people accountable, holding the church accountable, holding society accountable to doing what's right, regardless of the situation. So I may ruffle some feathers this morning. I may not ruffle feathers this morning. But the reality is that I want you guys to be fully informed so that you can make the decision that you need to for your household. And if after today you say, I'm going to get vaccinated, or if you say, nope, I'm still not going to get vaccinated, or Pastor, I'm so glad I've already been vaccinated, whatever your decision is, it won't be because you weren't informed. It won't be because Mighty Wind Worship Center sat quietly on the corner of 11th and Washington and did not say what we needed to say. So the first myth that I want to debunk today or challenge is this. Myth number one. It says, researchers rushed. The reason I'm not taking the vaccine is because researchers rushed the development of the COVID-19 vaccine, so its effectiveness and safety cannot be trusted. They made it too fast. How in the world you make a vaccine in 10 months? Let me share something with you. Did you know that this is not the first coronavirus that we've experienced? Did you know that this coronavirus that we've experienced is number 7? This is the 7th coronavirus that we have experienced in our lifetime over the last 100 years. This is number 7. Do you realize that the other 6 that they had was the foundation that they started with on creating the vaccine for this? So it wasn't like they had to go create this out of thin air. They had already been working on this virus based upon the other 6. They were already projecting that there was going to be another coronavirus that was coming and that it was going to be airborne. That was already projected. They were already working. This wasn't the first time that they actually started working on this vaccine. They have been working on this vaccine at a bare minimum the last 7 to 10 years. So this wasn't the first time that they created. They just didn't create it in 10 months. They've been working on this for years. When this new coronavirus came, all they needed was an actual person that had it so that they could take that virus and begin to tweak the vaccine to fit this particular virus. So they've been working on this for time. And guess what? The vaccine is 95% safe. Moderna, Pfizer, 95% safe. And effective. And it's working. Have y'all noticed that the numbers are going down? As people are being vaccinated, the numbers are going down. Most recently, this last week, they said at least 50% of America had one shot and 30% of America had been fully vaccinated. And so we're headed in the right direction, because y'all remember those days when we were getting 200 test positive cases, 250, 300, 400, 500, and y'all were in your house saying, I ain't going nowhere. Guess what? We're down to like 5 a day, 10 a day, less than that, not even that. We haven't had a positive case in the church in over 2 months. In over 2 months, we haven't had a positive case in this church. They gathered the genetic information they needed early in this process, created the vaccine that we have, and now these vaccines are working. You have 3 different options. You have Pfizer, you have Moderna, you have Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson is a 1 shot, Pfizer and Moderna are 2 shots. But they're working. The second myth. The COVID-19 vaccine enters your cells and changes your DNA. There were reports that the COVID-19 vaccine enters your cells and changes your DNA structure. Let me tell you that that's not a true statement. The vaccine does not change your DNA structure. The vaccine causes your cells to produce proteins, that helps your immune system, teaches your immune system how to fight against the virus. It's not injecting the virus in you. It's injecting a protein that teaches your immune system how to fight it. And so those proteins, that vaccine is entering your cells in your body. We're going to do a science lesson today, okay? I'm going to take y'all back. If y'all didn't do good in science, I'm sorry. In our bodies, we have cells. Inside of the cell is the nucleus of the cell. The nucleus of that cell is where your DNA resides. Your DNA resides in the nucleus. So the vaccine enters the cells, produces proteins, but those proteins break down before they ever get to the nucleus. So the proteins never reach the nucleus. Nothing ever gets to the nucleus. Your DNA structure is not being changed. You're not going to wake up one day and look different than you did yesterday. Yeah, some of you might have wanted that. But you're not going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be a totally different person and nobody's going to recognize you. Your DNA is going to be totally different. That is not what's going to happen. It never reaches the nucleus of the cell. So guess what? Your DNA is never impacted. So if that was your concern as to why you were not going to get the vaccine, let me reassure you today that your DNA is not impacted by the virus. There is no virus being injected in you. It's a vaccine that's teaching your body how to produce proteins to help you fight the virus. It's teaching your body how to fight it, and then it breaks down before it ever gets to the nucleus of your cells. So myth number 3. COVID-19 vaccine can affect women's fertility. There's a statement out there going around now that if you get the vaccine, it's going to prevent you from being able to have children. It's going to prevent you from having children. So let me reassure you that it is not going to impact women's fertility. It is not going to impact you being able to have children. Let me tell you why. I just want to make sure y'all are paying attention this morning. As we know, pregnancy is already a high-risk medical condition. And I will say this to you. During the trials they did not use pregnant women during the trials. Because, of course, as you know, pregnant women are already a high-risk medical condition. So they didn't use existing pregnant women in the trials. But when a woman becomes pregnant, there's a protein that her body produces that helps the growth of the placenta, helps the growth of the baby. There's a protein that she produces while she's pregnant. And initially, it was stated that the protein that the woman produces is the same protein that's in the coronavirus. And that if you got the vaccine, that your body would fight against that protein, and then you wouldn't be able to be pregnant down the road. Well, the reality is this, is that it's two different proteins. It's not even the same protein. So, because it's two different proteins, your body is not fighting against the protein that women produce when they're pregnant that helps the placenta and that helps them grow. It has nothing to do with it. It's a totally different protein, and therefore is not going to prevent a woman from becoming pregnant down the road. Now, I know y'all are looking at me going, how do you know? You know good and well you are not a scientist. Where's your degree? Listen to me. The information that I'm gaining comes from valid scientific hospitals like the one in Houston, one in Chicago, one in Nebraska. I did a lot of different research to discover that. And please understand, I will say to you, I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like they've got all the answers and everything is going to be perfect, but they are still doing tests. They are still doing research. They are still doing research after the fact to truly determine if their theory is correct. But right now, there is no evidence showing that women will be impacted if they do get the vaccine. There's no proof that's showing that. And they're still doing research to figure that out. But at this particular point in time, they're not. I can tell you right now, there was only one company that did a test, and that was Pfizer. Pfizer did a test on their women that were pregnant. They were in the beginning stages of their pregnancy. And they did that test, and 95% of the women that were pregnant went to term with their birth. Only one person did not. And as a part of that test, she didn't even get injected with the vaccine. She got injected with like water, and she is the only one that didn't carry her pregnancy to term. So Pfizer had a 95% success rate with women that were pregnant that didn't even realize they were pregnant until they were actually doing the test. And so I will tell you currently, there is no proof that that's a true statement because scientifically it's two different proteins, and your body is not fighting against the one that you produce when you're pregnant. It's fighting against the one that's pertaining to the virus, okay? Myth number 4. The COVID-19 vaccine was developed with or contains controversial substances. So the first thing is this. Initially, it said that that the virus had a microchip in it. I mean, not the virus, the vaccine had a microchip in it, and if you got the vaccine, then you were microchipped, and the government could track you wherever you went. The way that y'all carry and use your phones, you being tracked anyway. Do something wrong and sit on the police ask you for your phone. Because they're going to track you, they're going to track where you've been, they're going to track where you've been going. But I will tell you that the vaccine does not have a microchip in it. You are not being tracked. I will say this, on the syringe of the vaccines, on the outside, not the inside, it's not being injected into you. On the outside of the syringe, there is a microchip to track how many of the vaccines are being used. That's how they're getting their information on vaccine usage. But there is no microchip being injected in you. Nobody is tracking you. Nobody is following you. Nobody is, knowing what you're doing when you're not supposed to be doing it. So please understand there is no microchip. The second thing I will say is this, that initially it was said that the vaccine was being created by using fetal tissues from abortions. So I will say this. With all three of the vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer, in the test trials, in the testing, they did use fetal cells in the testing. But Moderna and Pfizer, when they actually created the vaccine, they did not use any fetal cells in the vaccine. Okay? So I will tell you that Moderna and Pfizer are not using fetal tissue, fetal cells in any form or fashion in the creation of their vaccines. Now, Johnson & Johnson, on the other hand, Johnson & Johnson are using fetal cells in their vaccines. And they are using the fetal cells from an abortion, I would tell you, probably back in it was two of them, 1973 and 1985. They're using fetal cells that came from those abortions. They don't know whether they were elective or not, but they were abortions, and the fetal cells, they are using those in the creation of their vaccine. Just so you know. So if that's an issue for you, if that's a moral issue for you, then you know. If that's what's been keeping you from taking the vaccine, then you know full well today that Moderna and Pfizer are not using fetal cells in their vaccines. Johnson & Johnson is. Okay? And then the last myth that I'm going to address today is this. Myth number 5. Getting the COVID-19 vaccine gives you COVID-19. It does not give you COVID-19. The vaccine does not have COVID-19 in it, in any fashion, form, or manner. The vaccine has a protein in it that we talked about earlier. It has a protein in it that teaches your immune system how to fight against the virus. So you are not being injected with COVID-19. If you get the vaccine and you go out and get tested, you are not going to come up positive for COVID-19 because of the vaccine. If you come up positive, that means it's because you have COVID-19. It's not because of the vaccine. Okay? Now, we'll tell you, the vaccine does cause side effects, but you are not being injected with the virus. Now, those side effects are a good thing, because that lets you know that your body is learning how to fight against the virus. It's letting you know that. The side effects that you potentially could experience would be headaches, body aches, fever, chills, and they last anywhere between 24 to 48 hours. And those would be the side effects of you getting the vaccine. But please understand that just because you get the vaccine does not mean that you are being injected with COVID-19. Just the same thing with the flu. Just because you get the flu vaccine, you are not being injected with the flu. It's a protein that's being injected into you that teaches your immune system how to fight against the actual virus. Okay? So I just wanted you guys, I wasn't going to keep you long today. I just wanted to share with you guys some information that would either help you make a decision, not help you make a decision. You've already made your decision, and Pastor, no matter what you say, I'm still not getting the vaccine, and I totally understand. But I want you guys to have the information that you need to make an informed decision. Because I know a lot of us are hearing things, not researching it, hearing things and not researching it, and hearing and making decisions based upon that. But I don't want you to make a decision based upon that information, okay? I want you to make a decision on solid information, everything that you have. And if you question what I shared with you today, please leave today and go and continue to do further research so that you know and that you have the information that you need to make that sound decision. This is the research that I've done. Now I challenge you, if you have not gotten a vaccine and you're still wavering on whether you need to get it, I challenge you to continue to go and do further research so that you know full well what you're getting into. And you may say, well, I don't believe you, Pastor, and that's okay. I totally understand. But I wanted to make sure that you had the information that you needed to make a decision. And the reason why is this, is because what I want to do here at Mighty Wind Worship Center is this. I want to, I actually have spoken with the county, and I am trying to get the county to make, to allow us to do vaccines here at the church. And I'm trying to get with the county and schedule that. But the county says for me, for a Mighty Wind Worship Center to be a site to where we're going to give vaccinations, we have to have at least 10 people registered to do that. Because once they open up a vial, they have to give 10 shots, okay? So we have to have at least 10 people register to do that. So this is what I want to do today. Loopy, is this still raining outside? Okay. So this is what we're going to do at the end of service today. In this back corner back here, everybody know where that back corner is? That back corner right there. Pastor Marion is going to be back there in that back corner. And what she's going to do is she's going to take your name, your phone number, and your email. And that's the information that the county is requesting. And what they're going to do is if you decide to do that, okay, we're going to set a date and we're going to have it here at Mighty Wind Worship Center. But I've got to get 10 volunteers first to be willing to get vaccinated, okay? So Pastor Marion's going to be back there. She's going to gather that information from you, and then we're going to send that to the county, and I will notify you guys on the date that we are doing it. It will be within a week, potentially 2 weeks. 7 to 10 days is what the county said, and we would set that date up, and we would have it here at the church, and we would allow you to get vaccines here if you haven't and you want to, okay? Yes. Yes, it will be, because now 12 to 15 is able to get the vaccine now. So 12 to 15 would be included in that age also. So 12 and up. Anybody from that age group, 12 and up would be included in those vaccines. So if you or anybody in your family that is 12 years of age or older, you would have that ability to get the vaccine here. If you've had your first shot, you can get your second shot here. If you haven't had your first shot, then you can get your first shot here. So no matter where you are in the process, you could get the vaccination here at the church, okay? So again, at the end of service, when we do dismiss, Pastor Marion will be in that back corner and she will be taking names. And if we don't get 10 names today, then we will continue to do registration until we do. But I just want us to be able to minister to the community, to you guys, and to have us as a place where people can come and be vaccinated if they need to, okay? So thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, you can ask me after service and I can answer any other questions that you may have pertaining to it. But please know that if you would like to sign up, you can do that. If you're not sure yet, please call us here at the office throughout the week. We can still put you on the list at that point in time also, and we can get you set up so that way we can do the vaccination here. Because right now in Central Texas, there's only 30% of Central Texas has been fully vaccinated. So there's still a lot left to be vaccinated, and I would love for you guys, if you have not had that opportunity, to take advantage of that here, okay? Other than that, we want to go ahead and we want to move forward with the Lord's Supper. We're going to do Holy Communion today. So if the ushers would come forward for me, please. And like always, our ushers are very safe. They wear gloves. And the Holy Communion is actually all in one now. And so